There.
Oh, so state your name.
Sage Holder.
And what's your profession?
Barbering.
What made you go into barbering?
Just didn't really want to have a employer or anything. Wanted to do things on my own, build my own enterprise, network, stuff like that. Yeah.
And since you deal with a lot of people, different bodies, as hair is a part of body, what do you feel like when you're cutting someone's hair? How do they interact with you? Do they feel vulnerable with their body?
Well, initially, they'll come in. They'll act confident. They trust me. If they're gonna sit in my chair, if I'm gonna have blades to their head, if I'm gonna change their image, they trust me. But deep down, I could feel it. Like, especially you can notice it with the first time. Anytime you deal with clients for the first time, they're extremely vulnerable. They know like I have a huge impact on the rest of their, depending on how much hair they have, the rest of their week, or maybe for the next couple months. Because if I make a mistake and they have a lot of hair, then it's a problem. So they are vulnerable, but my clients, they've grown to trust me and they'll let me do whatever I want with their hair. So it comes down to trust, basically. But your question is, do they feel vulnerable? To an extent, they do. Depending on how long they've been coming to me.
And then after a while, after you have certain clients, sometimes you take pictures, like you know how there's a lot of barber magazines,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of images of like haircuts. And one question in the book was, under what circumstance could your body become property that can be transferred to a different owner? Do you feel like some people feel anxious? Like, how do you go about taking the picture knowing that basically it's to promote you and not really the person? How do you handle that?
In my opinion, though, I generally like to put up pictures where both me and the person can benefit, and if the person doesn't appreciate me putting up the picture, I won't put up the picture. So at the end of the day, it is promoting my business and what I like to do, but for me, I feel like it's art. So when I'm putting that up there, I just want people to see it, and I want people to see my passion and just my outlook on life as a whole. Because I feel like a fade, it might just look like a haircut to certain people, but in a lot of ways, it has an effect on the person I'm cutting, the eye, and it's just the beauty of it that like people have grown to admire. I admire. Yeah, it's just so powerful, in my opinion, what a haircut could do.
So even though the haircut is your work and not necessarily of the person, do you feel that you're still burning on the person? Like, do you feel like at times that you have ownership of that person by putting the picture?
No, I wouldn't say ownership, but I would say, in a sense, it's my artwork. So yeah, it's not ownership though. It's my artwork, and I'm just sharing it with
Like
whatever
that,
medium,
okay.
throughout whatever medium to whatever audience.
And you mentioned a fade, which is like a type of body work and body techniques. Are there any like other lingo or agate that's used in the barber role, like for different haircuts or different instruments you were to use?
There's. Do you want me to describe them?
Like a few.
Well, there's Caesar haircuts. Those are basically one level short haircuts. There's comb overs. Take a comb. Basically, have all this area faded down or lowered, and just combed over. Fades are, you know what fades are, gradient along the head. There's taper fades, which lower the bottom edges of the hairline. Outlines, lineups, razor lines, those are just the line that goes around your hairline. Beard lines. There's plenty. So.
And what about the instruments? Because obviously the instruments, like, are there any certain things that you barbers go out apart from like certain styles of cutting?
Instruments as in
like
tools?
Scissors or something? Are there like
Different types?
Yeah.
Definitely. You want me to show you?
Yeah.
We got combs. This is an Afro pick. Comb just to comb here. Brushes just to get the hair laying down flat. We got I got two different types of scissors. There's thinning shears, normal scissors. My instruments. These are my tools I use the most. Probably bring down the level of the hair, along with the scissors. Straight razor blades, and just a bunch of other products, either to clean, to keep everything cleansed, clean, and ready to work with. Because you can't use dirty tools. Everything needs to be disinfected. And whatever a client may need to feel comfortable, whether it be shaving oils or lotions to soothe the skin, to smell better, etc.
And what about your presentation? Like, do you feel as a barber that you have to present your way? Like, are you scared about like how your arms go? Because cutting a lot of hair in a lot of time could be tiring to your body.
You mean how my arms what?
How your arms feel? Like, how do you feel? Like, what about your techniques? Like, do you tend to be slouched when you cut hair?
No, after a while you get used to it, but no, generally because I like it so much, I enjoy doing it so much. I enjoy the camaraderie, the conversations, and just the overall outcome of each and every haircut. In my opinion, like you don't feel the tiredness until you actually sit down at the end of the day. So at the beginning you might feel tired, but at this point I've been cutting for 5 years. No, I don't feel anything.
And after that, like you mentioned, you use a lot of tools and disinfection, which helps the body maintain its regular role in society. So does that make it civilized? Because in the States, I know that it's regulated. Like in Texas, they have rules for barbershop, rules for barber. I know in Canada, there's not as many rules. So do you feel like Canada, like how do you feel like that regulation, does it make it as civilized as the States, or?
What it does is it lowers the level of performance, more or less. Like USA is top for that type of barbering with all the rules and everything. It raises your level. They have to go through school. From where I'm from, Montreal, Montreal, Quebec. There's no education system that you have to go through. No licensing agreements that you need to sign. So it does lower the level, but in other ways, like if you follow the States, because most of the guys who are doing big things are from the States, so for me to look at them, it raises my level, because I wanna have that level of satisfaction coming from my customers. So I want to give them the best quality I could possibly give them. So to answer your question, it's not less civilized, but it's behind a bit in terms of practices.
Because we know when you're dealing with a lot of body people, like our society is very afraid of sickness. Like you remember back in Montreal with the SARS, N1, and when you're cutting with someone's hair, there's always a potential of being cut. So do you think that like these regulations are more for keeping the quality of haircut, or do you think it's also for keeping the health of the?
It's health. It's as much as it is appearance and looking good. There's a lot that goes behind in health. Like I'll give you an example. I got these razor blades, like for this straight razor right here, and I buy a bunch of these. They're single razor blades. I'll zoom in for you. Alright, focus. Yeah, they're razor blades basically. So every time I use this tool, I switch the blade because there's always sanitation problems. Like you can't use it twice on the same person. For all my other tools, like my electric tools, you gotta spray them up because you don't want to risk that. Like, and just mentally having that burden of you destroying somebody's face because you didn't take the time to clean your tools. So like, yeah. The question was?
Well, the question was like, does the sanitation play a big role? Like,
yeah,
are you scared to get people sick?
It definitely without a doubt, like I won't ever use my tools without sanitizing them. It's just not. I don't think. It's basically almost like killing somebody, basically. And your tools, you can't use your tools after that, man. Like that's just. Yeah, for me personally, it would harm my conscience. It would make me feel like horrible. So. Yeah.
And since you're dealing with a lot of different bodies, how do you treat people? Like, do you have any difference for, like, let's say you're cutting an old person hair, or let's say someone is coming in coughing? How do you react to that? Do you react differently since you're dealing
Yeah,
with someone?
I gotta be aware of that. I gotta understand, every time I cut somebody, I understand that they're different. So you gotta conversate with them, make sure you get to know their preferences, how they like to be touched, what kind of haircuts they like, and how they like to talk. Like, without individualizing the people you're working with, it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be able to build such a large client base and just continue to build. So it's a lot about referencing when it comes to cutting hair. So you want to be able to put each person in your chair and treat them differently and treat them according to how they want to be treated. So
And do you find like different? Do you find like it must be hard when people have different perception? Because you know how everyone view themselves differently, and how if they come from different areas of the city or different countries, do you feel like you have a mission when it comes with dealing with how someone views themselves? Like, let's say you know the haircut is bad, but the person might think it's good. Do you ever clash on like what the person thinks of their body?
as in, if they want a style that I don't like
Think that
too much,
work, because you know how it's all perception, but there also is certain things that as a barber you cannot let go because that affects what barbers think is the ideal
well,
haircut.
it's depending on the level of. Honestly, it comes down to what the client wants, but it comes down to the art of conversating and talking. So you gotta, if you feel like whatever you're gonna give them is gonna be a disaster, whether it be to your personal name in your business or just in terms of other people treating them a certain type of way. Generally